What it is? How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be making our own reality TV show. Amidst all the strikes and everything, we figured, you know what? If the producers won't come together to let these shows run, damn it, we'll make some of our own. So we're going to do a whole thing, discuss the things we want to do, the things we want to see. And by we, I mean, us on the podcast, but also y'all can chime in too. But the only way to chime in and see what the conversation is to sit back, relax, grab a snack, grab a beverage, and listen on in to the first ones to die.
Hey everyone, welcome to the First Ones to Die podcast. My name is Jonathan. I am here with my lovely co-hosts, Alex and Jerome. How are you both doing on this fine day, night, afternoon, whatever time the listener is listening to it? How are you doing? Jerome, how you doing?
Doing good. I just got Mortal Kombat 1. That's right, like ripping out spines, cracking backs, tearing arms off, doing all the stuff. It's great. This game is disgusting. I thought the fatalities of Mortal Kombat 11 were bad. There's fatalities in here where I'm like, for God's sake, like as I'm watching, I'm like, for God's sake, they're already dead. Leave them alone. Because it just gets that it's that brutal. It's worse, and also the game is gorgeous. Like all of the graphics look great. Like the skin, like everybody's skin, and you can see like their pores and stuff. It's so crisp and clean, and really good. But that makes the fatalities that much worse because they look like people. There's one in particular where a dude just like cuts arms and legs off, puts them on a pole, and then he's at the top of the pole. He's like, nah, that's not enough. I need to make sure that they're dead. And then he pulls their rib cage and using their rib cage pulls them further down the pole so that their head will come off.
Jesus.
Like it's terrifyingly like real. I'm gonna be honest. I remember playing Mortal Kombat 11 and being like, these fatalities scare me. But I think this is as far as it can go. And then Mortal Kombat 1 was like, hold my beer. I gotta show him something real quick. And so now I'm like, if they make another Mortal Kombat game at that point, like, it's gonna be too much. All right, it's not gonna. Like, I don't think I'll ever do a fatality again because it'll be too much, just too much.
Which one's the one that really bothered you?
Huh?
Was there any particular one that was like, this is you too far, Mortal Kombat?
There's a couple. One in particular, there's one with a character named Natara who's a vampire, and she has a fatality where she summons bats to go inside of a person's body, and then you see the bats flittering around in there, like poking through their stomach as blood pours out of them because they're getting ripped apart. And then she rips their stomach open and the bats fly out just covered in blood.
I regret asking this question.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? It's gross. It's like disgustingly terrible. And also, audience, I apologize if you're very squeamish and stuff.
The apology after.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Afterwards, I'm so sorry that you're squeamish.
But that being said, though, the game is good, though. It's really good. It's like the story mode is so good. It's what the damn Mortal Kombat movie should have been that we got like a couple years back. It's very detailed. All the actors do a great job, except, and I hate to call her out because I feel bad because I feel like she's gonna get picked on, but it's kind of deserved. Is Megan Fox. They did yet another thing in Mortal Kombat 11. They had Ronda Rousey come in and play Sonya Blade, which was kind of made sense. It's like she's an actual fighter in real life. She's playing this person who's a fighter in this game. Kind of makes sense. But Ronda Rousey's not a great actress. She's never been. She's just a really popular sports figure who's been blessed enough to be in movies and television. And so a lot of people were like, Ronda's not great. She's very stoic or whatever. But at least she got the pass of she's an athlete. She's not like a trained actress. Whatever. For Mortal Kombat 1, they decided to do that again. But this time, their celeb casting was getting Megan Fox to play the character of Natara, the vampire. And she, and I'm like, okay, Megan Fox is an actual actress. Like she's like, been trained. She's not like the actress in the world, but she's got chops, and I've liked her in projects she's done. And she sounds like she could not be bothered to add any type of personality to this character at all because she's so damn flat. Every line she says is so one note. She'll say stuff like, all the characters have interacting lines with each other before they fight each other when you play like versus mode or whatever, right? And her, like Natara and Kung Lao, there's a line where Natara is supposed to say, or Kung Lao's asking about Raiden's wife or somebody, or Raiden's sister who's gone missing. And Natara is, I guess, a culprit in like kidnapping her. And so she says, like, oh, poor Kung Lao. Like, you'll never see her again. Like, that's the line. It's supposed to be this menacing line. Megan Fox says, like, poor Kung Lao. You'll never see her again. That's the reading. For verbatim, same tone. And I'm like, you couldn't even be bothered to put the villainous inflection on the again. You know what I mean? Like, it's that consistently. And I don't know if maybe she was nervous or she's not experienced voice acting wise as opposed to live action, because that could be a part of it.
I don't think I've ever seen her or I haven't heard her in any live actions or anything like that.
Yeah, like voice acting's different, so for a lot of people, it's not an easy like transition to be good at voice acting compared to live action acting. So I will give her that if maybe that's what it was, but it's just a thing where I'm like, y'all need to stop with the celeb casting, or if you do it like you did because also Jean-Claude Van Damme is also in the game as well as Johnny Cage, but not as the main, like in the story mode main version of Johnny Cage. They still got like the voice actor from the last game for that. He's just a separate skin that you can put on like a costume. So if you want to play as Jean-Claude Van Damme like online or whatever, you can do that. And they got Jean-Claude Van Damme to come in and read some lines for that. And even he puts more personality in than like Fox did.
Feeling some resentment or issue there.
So I just feel bad. I mean, it's not like Natara is really an important character in the story mode or anything like that. It's just, so it's not like she's around much. But for the little bit she is in there, I'm like, damn, girl, you gonna let everybody act circles around you? Like, everybody? It's a shame. But other than that, also been playing Baldur's Gate as well. So in a D&D mood. It's been great. Me and Ari have been playing it together because you can play it split screen, and it's been fun. So yeah, playing a lot of video games. Other than that, I've been kind of just chilling. Haven't been watching much. Been working a lot, so I'm really tired. And that's my life. There you go, Alex. Your turn. Go.
All right. I started my new job, which is a lot like my old job. Just at a different clinic. It's been nice. It's been less stressful, but the stress is now in another place because this is a brand new clinic, a brand new office, and nothing is set up yet. And we're supposed to open clinic on Monday, so nothing. We barely got our office furniture. They were still putting up like the artwork and stuff this week. So we will see how that all goes. As I mentioned earlier to you guys, I saw the Storms. The Seattle Storms play the Los Angeles Astros. I think that's their women's basketball team with Lauren on Sunday, which was super nice. And it was just fun. It's nice to go to sporting events. There's just something about them where you can't help but enjoy yourself, even sometimes when they get a little too loud. I hate when the announcers or whatever they're called do that. They're like, make some noise. And it's like, I'm trying to watch the game. Like, I get what you're trying to do and, like, cheering and all that, but I'm also watching the game. I'm actually watching the game.
Yeah, well, that's
so I
it
need
helps
for
out
people
the
not yelling in my ear.
They need to hear the crowd is cheering for them. Sometimes it amps them up and gets them like look, we were feeling down because we're down like 30 points, but the crowd's feeling it. They're into it. Damn it, we're gonna get into it.
Well,
like,
maybe
if they were down
1, 2, 3, victory.
Maybe if they were down 30 points, they should have some time to themselves and be like, man,
I'm just
We
saying,
need to
I've
get
played
ourselves
games
together.
where the cheering of the crowd does amp you up. It makes you feel like it's like, listen, they're cheering
hey,
for us. We
Cheddar.
got to do this for them. Hey, Cheddar.
Well,
I do know.
He just stops and
sorry.
covers you entirely from the tail all the way down.
Literally.
are you good? Was there something I could assist you with? No, just wanted. Well, the Seattle Storm has no fucking defense, so the crowd cheering clearly didn't help them with that. I will say the team manager, one, freaking absolutely slayed in her outfit. She had these like yellow pants on, and then her stance every time they did a huddle, she was like standing with her like the power pose with her legs spread, and it was so funny because compared to her height to all these players, she was already like looked like she was about average height. So she spread down, so she shrunk a little more. So all those players had to bend down even more. Felt like that was a real power move. So much respect for that woman.
Just gotta let them know.
Right. I've been playing a little bit more of Lake, which is that cozy game we were talking about, where you mail stuff around an Oregon coast thing and make friends with the locals. It's nice to just zone out sometimes. Other than that, I haven't had or many things going on, which is kind of nice because it's like I'm trying to focus on one thing to another, and I'm trying not to split my attention as much, because that was a big issue I found I was doing, was just not paying attention to what I needed to take care of or what was important, and just kept trying to split my attention lately and focus. And nothing creepy has happened. So, nothing more creepy has happened. So you can't blame the Ouija board. Nothing has happened.
That's because he was like, fine, I guess you don't want me to send my demonic friends over for a party. Okay, I see how it is.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because after we got off,
It was so creepy.
after we like exited off the podcast last week, I was a little bit concerned. I'm glad to see that everything is okay this week.
Was so creepy. The only story I do have to share is, I think it was like Wednesday or something. I ended up running late to work because Cheddar sat on my glasses. He sat on my glasses. For some reason, when you're blind, when you wear thick glasses, there's a period of time in the day where you forget that you wear glasses and you can suddenly see. For me, that's like right in the morning around 5 a.m. I get out of bed. I don't put on my glasses. I'll feed him. Kind of do a little bit of a routine. Then, go back over when I realize I can't see anything and I can't grab anything because my depth perception's off. Couldn't find them anywhere. And I'm like, all right, they fell off my nightstand. Looked around. Couldn't find them. And I was like, okay, where the hell could they have gone? 20 minutes I looked for these things. 20 minutes. And I have lost my glasses before. I've dropped them on like a mat or something and they blended in. I've had to actually FaceTime people and be like, do you see them anywhere? Like freaking Dora. But I ended up pushing him over because I was like, are you sitting in them? Because he often sits on the remote. There he was, just sitting on them for 20 minutes. He let me frantically run around this tiny ass apartment. Just for funsies. I don't know. Look at bastard.
There he is.
Also, it's Hispanic Latin Heritage Month. So it's my month now.
True.
Anything said against me is a hate crime. Just putting that out there now.
There we go.
How's your week been, Jonathan?
Yes, happy.
John Bond.
Yes, happy
tell him the deal.
Hispanic Latin Heritage Month. John Bond. Okay. Well.
Jojo.
So, anyways, been consuming some media that I won't name, but last week after we exited the podcast, watched an old classic movie in 3D, and it was a lot of fun. This week watched a spooky new movie, and then this week I've also been watching, and I'll talk about the book because the book's not struck. So I'll talk about the book. The Other Black Girl. They made a TV series on a streaming platform about it, and I've been watching that. I really liked the book, so I'm trying to see what the TV show is all about. So far, it's might get a little more interesting, but yeah. And then next week, have some spooky activities planned. Gonna go to Horror Nights And then
Is that at the Universal?
yeah, but I didn't want to say the name.
Oh, I see. Well, I mean, that's the company name. Like, I guess, are we
Right.
censoring company names too, or just? I
No,
thought it was
because
just
we've
doing
talked
movie
about like
names.
Paramount and stuff like that. So
Okay.
Okay.
as long as you don't, I feel like as long as we're not promoting projects, we're like okay. We're not crossing any boundaries. We're not saying, "Hey, go see anything." We're not showing support towards any films or TV shows. There have been a lot of not producers, but like Drew Barrymore, a lot of people like her crossing their own picket line. So
Yeah, I just like an hour before we came on here, I watched her like apology video. Yikes!
Is she
and
is
she
she
was one
deciding
that
to not do it now, or is she still gonna go
no,
she's
do a
continuing.
show?
she's
Okay.
still doing her show, and as you can imagine, people are not happy. And I feel like Drew Barrymore was one of those people that was like universally loved by everyone, and now it's like just doing this one thing, it's really gonna like affect your reputation.
Yeah, it's a
So
weird double-edged
yeah,
sword too, because on one hand, like I was like watching the John Campea show talk about it on YouTube, and I think he did make some fair points in that it's like it's solidarity until it isn't. Like the WGA went on strike, and you better believe actors did not give a shit. They still, I mean, they might have cared on a personal level,
Sure.
but they still went to work until SAG-AFTRA was like, and we're also going on strike. So, it's like this whole idea of like, listen, if y'all on strike, we on strike. It's like, yeah, until it isn't. So I can see Drew Barrymore's side of it, of like, I have people on my staff on my own show that I make by myself, even though technically it's underneath another studio, that I want to make sure is taken care of, who are not union. So I get that, but at the same time, it's like,
but she tried
thing
to
where
be
you got
like, she tried to run off her show as this is news broadcasting.
right.
And this show is
Yeah.
So she was already trying to
Well,
find
that's like-
a weasel way out, where it's like, okay, your intentions are not where you're saying they are. So when she's entertainment.
Yeah, like it's a weird, like that's the thing where it's like, but it's at the same time, it's like you are still underneath somebody else though. It's not like you own the studio and everything like that. Like, yeah, you produce your show, but you don't own it technically. It's like underneath a network and like stuff like that is struck, and that.
And
So it's
normally
a weird thing.
Yeah, because normally she would have, because things like news shows, they're still going because they don't have writers under the WGA, but
Right.
her show did, and now she's just going back without them. So even if like, it's not a SAG production, it's not. She's still. Even though she's not like breaking any rules, any SAG or WGA rules, she's still crossing the picket line, which is like what people are upset about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's it's a weird thing, and I get it though. I think I get it from the sense of like nobody planned for this strike to be this long. I don't think. Not only the producers, but I think the WGA and SAG-AFTRA also, I don't think planned for the strike to be this long. I think in their minds they were like, they'll see reason at least within like 2 months, and now it's going on like 4 for, I think it's 4 for SAG-AFTRA, like almost 5 for the WGA. Like that's damn near half the year of a bunch of people not working.
I honestly believe they would have eventually settled, because like a lot of strikes unfortunately just end that way. They're like, all right, we do need to start going back to work, all this stuff. And when writing's one of your part-time jobs, unfortunately, somebody who worked 2 part-time jobs while going to school full-time, it makes a difference when one is gone. You feel it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's when the producers and production companies open their stupid mouths and and like let people know, they said the quiet stuff out loud. Like, we'll just let people starve themselves out. Well, now you're just like, everybody's going to be like, oh no, fuck you, definitely now. And also, where are like PR teams? Like, what is their deal? Why is no PR team working anymore? Are they connected to the writer strike? Is like nobody writing for
it's
PR
the
teams anymore.
that may be, but it's the post-Trump era. All right, like they've given up, because I'm sure Trump's PR team, like they were drinking every day, because I can't imagine. It's like, because you'll tell him what to say, but then he'll go on Twitter and say what he want to say anyway, and then you're just like, God damn it, like why are we here, just to suffer? We work so hard.
Yeah, like every PR team I hear about nowadays, I'm like, other than like Sophie Turner's PR team, all the other ones are not great. And hers, I guess, are British, so like it's not even an American PR team that's handling stuff. That's pretty bad. But I'm sorry, I interrupted. Can you, what else is going on in your life, Jonathan, right now?
Yeah, we went on a tangent. Sorry.
We often do.
Well, I feel like that was our weekly SAG WGA strike PSA. So
I mean,
we got through that.
Yeah, they say there's infighting amongst the producers is half the problem too. Actually, now that I think about it, that's which I can believe that. I'm sure there's some producers who are like, man, look, y'all may be cool with spending all this damn money, but I'm not. Look, let's just give them what they want. It's been months. I'm tired.
Well, think about it, like House of the Dragons with Sophie Turner's like divorce and Joe Jonas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with everything going on, think about how much they could be making promoting House of Dragons, promoting anything Games of Thrones. Yeah, but people are connecting Games of Thrones with House of Dragons.
Game of Thrones. Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, people are going to the Jonas Brothers account and commenting like Queen of the North everywhere. Like that connection and everything, House of the Dragons is probably like, this is like, people will come just watch our show because we're connected to Game of Thrones, and they can't do anything. They can't promote. They can't talk. They can't nothing. So it's like, that's probably frustrating. They can't, use celebrities' fallouts for their own gain.
Yeah, listen. This is what happens when you like. I love the Dark Knight quote where it's like, all these civilized people, push them, and then they'll all eat each other. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but it's true. It's like all these rich producers. It's like now the claws are going to start coming out, because there's some who are going to be like, look, I'm tired of spending money on a set that nobody's on. Okay, damn it. Y'all need to get this together, because I was going to agree to these terms, but y'all don't want to agree. So now we got a problem. It's just, they'll start causing like infighting and just like people not being able to agree, because certain people want to keep all their money. Others are willing to compromise. Some are already on the boat anyway. They're like, I agreed from day one. I was waiting for y'all to catch up. So it's just like, I'm sure that's a big hurdle too.
Had they simply agreed to pay their writers, a proper living wage, they wouldn't have the actors probably going on strike acting for royalties from the streaming services or anything like that. They wouldn't have to deal with this whole other mess. But they were like, no, we're going to leave the writers alone. Well, now the actors are like, I realize I don't get paid for the fact that my show is constantly streaming and is one of the most streaming popular shows. We should look into that now. So now you just lost more money, and now you're losing more money on top of it, because you were just like with Paramount or Universal Studios, where they tore up their sidewalk, where they cut the trees down and everything like that. I'm like, how much did that cost you? Not only in work, but like in fines, because I know you guys didn't get permits to do this. So how much did it cost you in fines? All you had to do was pay 3% to all your writers. But no, let's do property damage that you'll have to repair later, and all this stuff, and make up timelines and movies and things like that. And it's like, who's in charge of you guys?
When they cut the trees,
it doesn't make sense.
I was like, they go cut their tree. I imagine the strike leader being like, they go cut their trees. Well, guess what? We going down to Walmart and we buying canopies. Let me hear y'all say it. It's just all the rhymes.
Which honestly, they did. They
themselves.
walked around and like umbrellas.
Yeah,
as they should.
Umbrellas.
Exactly, Jonathan. Like if you had the ability, to because I know you're not working on necessarily a big TV show or movie or anything, but do you be going down there sometimes just to kind of walk with the march for a little bit?
So I haven't been able to march. I've seen a lot of people who I know on social media and stuff. Usually because it's in my boring office job hours. But I support, I share on social media. I like on social media, don't talk
Oh,
about the movies on the podcast. So
speaking of which, also audience, we have been putting in the descriptions the I forget what it's called right now, but like the film, I think it's like the Arts and Entertainment Fund to support actors and writers who are on strike. In the description below. So if you want to support any of the actors and writers that are on strike, it's a fund dedicated to giving them money for things like, paying the bills, food, gas, all that stuff. So please do donate if you're led to, and support. Jonathan, finish up.
Charitable moment
What,
for the week.
yeah. What else did you have? I'm sorry.
It's all right. That was about it. I was just going to talk about some of the stuff that I was looking forward to next week, which is like Horror Nights, and there's this show getting produced in LA who I know somebody who's in it called Angel of Light. It's apparently like a creepy, spooky, interactive, immersive theater experience. So I'm looking forward to that. And it seems like... For me, it seems like this is going to be a good Halloween year because normally I don't even think about the word Halloween until October 1st, but I guess I've kind of been forced to. But I've been enjoying all of the spooky stuff that has gone on over the past however many weeks and will continue even more until Halloween, which is not even for like over a month and a half. So... but it feels like it's this month.
Think of Horror Nights. I actually just saw, and I can mention this because in reference to the video game, not the TV show, actually, is The Last of Us. They did like the themed Horror Night, like Last of Us.
Which I know two people who are in that house. I know a few people who are in that house in the one here in LA.
Somebody recorded the whole thing on their phone, like the whole experience going through. It was really cool. I love how many actors they have playing Ellie and Joel, so that they as you're walking through, you're kind of going along with them, which is really cool. But of course, they're like using the lines from the video game, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's based off of the video game versus the show.
Yeah, so I'm like, that's really neat. That's really cool. I respect it. And I hope they have a great time, doing it, like all of the horror people and people who go, and that's a cool theme too. Because Last of Us, I mean, I know it's not really about the creatures. If you played any of the video games, like Last of Us 1 or 2, they're just more like set dressing more than anything else. But still, it's a very nice horror theme. It's a very smart one. So I think that's a good idea.
Well, you know what other ideas, speaking of ideas, we got some ideas of our own. And that is ideas about reality TV. So reality TV, not currently struck. So we're going to talk about it, but it don't even matter because we're going to create our own reality TV show. We're going to talk about some of our favorite reality TV tropes, what we like in reality TV, what we dislike in reality TV. And by the end of this podcast, hopefully someone from one of these networks are listening and they can pick us up for a reality TV show.
To pay us.
Yes, and will pay us properly for our idea. So where do we want to start? Jerome, you were talking about some ideas that you had. So.
I already had an idea.
Okay.
Listen, it's time. Soup Troop. It's finally going to be real. It's going to be realized. All right. It's a reality show that I made up, but now it can be real.
You didn't say it was a reality show. I actually don't remember what you said it was.
I said it was a reality show. I did mention that. That was the joke. You both tried to look it up on Netflix.
Was it Soup? It's like soup that you eat, and then troop, like TROOP?
Yes.
I thought it was soup, like SUPE. Like superheroes.
No, you just thought that. No, the show is like
I like soup troop, like superhero troop.
I like how you got the first one different, and I got the troop part. I was trying to figure out what troop meant, and you were trying to figure out if it was soup or soup.
The point
Super,
is that the show is a bunch of people, right, who are like masters at making soup, and they go and it's a competition show, cooking competition show, to make the best soup using unorthodox ingredients that is provided to them. They
Like
don't
what?
get to pick. Like I don't know, like you have to make a soup
Marshmallows.
out of like sure, marshmallow soup. You make soup out of like Coca-Cola or something. Like you gotta make different types of soup.
I was having this
forms.
conversation at work like last week. Someone asked, "Is cereal a soup?"
I hate those questions. It's the same as
No!
hot dog a sandwich.
Soup has to be
Right.
hot, okay? Hot.
Gazpacho.
Okay, that's different, but that's not, but that actually is like a soup, okay? Like I was like cereal is milk with cornflakes in it, like that. Like that's what it is.
Soup needs to have a broth or a base. Milk is not a broth or a base.
Exactly. Like no, it's
At least
not,
that's where
it's
I
not
stand.
Cereal is cereal, okay? That's a cereal.
That's probably where I would stand. Cereal is its own category.
Own
But
thing.
oatmeal, have you heard oatmeal like referred to as hot cereal? Have you ever heard that?
Yes, I have heard that.
Which I don't agree with somehow. I think oatmeal.
No, oatmeal's oatmeal. Yeah, oatmeal's oatmeal. You know what I'm
I don't
saying?
know. That one I can kind of see because there are cereals with like just oats in them or like clusters, and that's kind of what oatmeal is. No, just like
No, because it's
warm,
like
you
in,
add
like,
milk or whatever to it.
I mean, you can add milk, but you don't need it. You can make cereal out of water too.
right?
Please
so you
delete
just
this
let
from the
cereal
episode.
getting mushy
Delete that
and
statement.
like warm it up.
I'm just saying. Listen, look, what? Oh, what? Jonathan, you too good to use water to make your Quaker's oats oatmeal. All right, some
Jerome-
people can't afford
Jerome-
milk.
You should.
I figured
had
you just drank all your milk, Jerome. That's what you're left with water.
Were you the one in our episode that had the cereal with what was it? What was it filled
Coca-Cola, yes.
with? It was.
Yes, I did do that. I'm just saying, listen, like some people eat their cereal with water, okay? Like regular cereal.
I don't believe that. I mean, it's psychotic enough to put like your milk before your cereal. If somebody has in water and cereal, no.
Listen, when you broke, sometimes you gotta make do. Some people use a fork to eat
No,
their cereal
you
so they
eat
can
dry
save the milk
cereal.
for later. All right?
Don't get like I've been broke and you eat the dry cereal. I've never ever put like water into my cereal. I have been
You haven't been broke
broke
enough
like that
then.
before. Just eat the dry cereal.
Right. It costs more to use the water than just eating the dry
Not
cereal.
if it's from the tap.
That's your energy. I mean, that's some of your water bill. You just spent like 0.2 cents with your water bill.
But then
I already
then
filled up
the-
my
the
Brita.
cereal
That's
don't be
expensive
dry,
enough.
though. It goes down easier. All right, eating dry cereal, it doesn't go down. It dries your throat out.
How are you gonna be
Then you're
like
struggling.
water cereal is preferred to like dry cereal?
To each their own. I'm just saying. There's some people out here on the struggle.
You defending this way too much. Have you eaten cereal with water?
I feel like
No.
I want you to be completely
Because
honest.
the Lord has blessed me enough to not be that broke. But I know there's some people out
But
here
again,
who
broke
have.
people can just like
It's not
eat the
that
dry
bad. It's not a
cereal.
bad thing.
it is a bad thing. It's a very bad thing.
Look,
There
just steal
should
your
be a
neighbor's
reality
milk
competition where
and
they
make it deal.
we don't condone. I can't even
cereal
say
and
it.
water.
Don't steal.
Oh.
I was gonna say we don't condone stealing, but that too. All right, it's like I said, it's psychotic enough to do milk and then your cereal. If you're putting water in your cereal, like, hats off to you're crazy because clearly you're more than me. But I would say there should be a reality show where people try like these weird ass combinations like that. Almost like
Struggle meals.
How
That's what we call it.
Struggle
The
meals?
struggle. The struggle meals or the struggle is meals. No,
But see,
we need to
I
workshop
don't-
it more.
No, because like the struggle meals are just 2-ingredient food. Like growing up, we literally ate tortillas with butter on them, which I didn't think was really a struggle food until I got older and like nobody else heard of doing that. I was like, oh,
You never had a wish sandwich?
a witch sandwich? Where you wish?
Oh,
Wish.
what?
Wish sandwich.
What's a wish sandwich?
It's 2 pieces of bread, and you damn sure wish you had some meat to go with it. In between them, you just eat the bread.
Why wouldn't you?
Like,
no, but I'm just randomly eating. Although I just like eating bread, so that's not really anything to do with money.
I can't take credit for that joke. That's from the Martin Show.
Or like Kendrick Lamar says in his song "Humble," he talks about syrup sandwiches.
Yeah,
which is a thing as well. I love syrup.
The bread. What is wrong with people? That you
need something in between it. You need something in between. Give it some flavor.
Just eat the bread. I will eat a loaf of the slice of bread. Just eat the slice of bread.
A whole loaf? That's a lot of grain.
I've eaten a whole baguette. I've literally bought a whole baguette, gotten from the store, walked home, ate half of it, went to my room like a fucking gerbil.
Well, that's all you afford, though. All you be buying is just loaves of bread. Eventually, you get tired of that. You want some flavor. You want some variety. So you put some syrup between a piece of bread.
Well, that's
what
they was saying. Like, I ate tortillas and butter. Like, that's good. You warm it up a little bit. It's nice. But, like, putting syrup on bread. Why?
Because that's all you got in the pantry. That's all you've got. That's all you have. That's what struggle meals are. When you got, this is all I have. I got a pack of bologna and mustard. That's in a frying pan. That's it. There's nothing else. But I gotta eat. So I'm gonna fry up this bologna, put some mustard on it, and call that a meal.
The show needs to be hosted by someone who has like famously went through, like, suffered from hard times when they were younger, and then grew up and then made a name for themselves. It needs to be hosted by someone who can relate to the struggle meal.
Tony Baker.
I was thinking of Tiffany
Haddish. Why was I thinking of her too?
Tiffany Haddish is also a good pick.
Because all I could remember was when people called her out for wearing the same dress twice on the red carpet. And she went on SNL. She's like, I'm wearing it again. She's like, I spent over like thousands of dollars on this dress. She's like, I will wear it as many times as I want. Mm-hmm. And like, I could see her doing that, like on that show, being like, yeah, you make whatever meals. I don't know. I guess when I'm doing my struggle meals, they're always it's one ingredient. I've never thought to be like maple syrup and bread. I'm just going to eat the bread.
Oh no, listen, I've made a few struggle meals in my time where I'm just like, I got Alfredo sauce and ramen noodles. That's pasta, right? Just mix that together.
Just eat the ramen noodles. Put it like
with no flavor, with no packet.
You don't have the packet.
The packet's not. I've had the packet. I want some Alfredo sauce. I want some Alfredo. I don't have the regular noodles.
Oh, you want some variety.
That you damn right. So I want some variety.
I don't know. I'll stick with my like single ingredient struggle meals. I don't want to eat Alfredo sauce and like ramen noodles. I'll do like ramen noodles with like lime. Actually, I kind of Mexican up my ramen noodles often more than not. But that's not the point.
I love
great on the show.
I love the one ingredient tacos. Like if you just not tacos, nachos. If you just get some chips, sprinkle some shredded cheese on it, put it in the microwave for 30 seconds.
That's nachos.
Amazing. Or like the tostada, and then you sprinkle some cheese on that. That's good too.
Yeah, you need some protein, but you're making ramen noodles, so you cut up some hot dogs, put that in there.
I feel like that's going from like struggle life to college life.
That is college life. That is more. Listen, the struggle's real in college too. You be broke. You might have a job, but it damn sure don't pay enough. That much I do.
I get that. When I was like 18, me and my sister were sharing an apartment. Where we worked was as banquet servers. There was a cafe attached. One day our manager was like, "Hey, we're like cleaning shit out. If you guys want to grab the sandwiches or like, food or whatever, we clean that place out." We ate those like sandwiches from the cafe for like I think 2 weeks. We ate them before they got mold, and we like grabbed everything as we can get our mitts on, and we had our coworkers be like, "Grab all the chips, grab whatever you can, go." So like we survived off of sandwiches made God knows how long ago for like a couple weeks, but they were pretty filling. You got that protein and nice bread.
So struggle meals. That's our first idea. There we go. We got one in the can. A whole reality show dedicated to having people cook struggle meals.
Actually,
there we go.
I have something kind of attached to that. Having people cook like old timey meals. So there's this TikToker, Dylan Hollis. Really cool. He does like baking from yesterday's. He finds these like recipes from like World War One, 1920s, 1910s, all that stuff. What's the those are real struggle meals where they had like 2 ingredients, or it was like molasses birthday cake, or bread that like was so dry it was like a brick, and then you had to soak it to like moisten it.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the recipes he reads don't come with proper instructions. They're like, oh, put dates in there. How many dates? How cups, or this and that. So trying to have somebody figure out those like really old recipes that like are like a handful of this. How much is a handful? Who wrote this recipe? And things like that. Trying to navigate really old timey recipes that make no sense because they didn't use measurements back then. They like just whatever you had.
They
on
just
hand.
eyeballed it. They're like, "This enough." Like just whatever you could get your hands.
So like,
and if it didn't taste right, you would just add more of whatever.
Yeah, just add more of what you thought it needed. Like, it need more pepper. It's got plenty of pepper, Grandma. Psh, shut up, boy. You need more pepper.
There's another TikTok that goes around. You season until your ancestors say stop.
I
was thinking about that.
I mean, that's cooking is like half experimentation, like science, and the other half is like art. So that could be a fun show.
Yeah,
where it's like really old timey ones where it's like you get a cute story because they always were like footnotes or something like that, and other stuff where it's like those were like also like real ass struggle meals too, where like they made these like prune birthday cakes because that's all you could get your hands on. Where I'm sure at the time that was fantastic. Prunes was the sweetest thing you could get. Not trying to judge, but nowadays it's like prune cake was great.
What
would you call it?
Oh, like call the show?
Mm-hmm.
Throw bake. Like throwback, but throw bake.
Ooh, I kind of like that.
You could workshop it. I like I like where your head's at. It's a good idea. I think it's just like it's gotta roll off the tongue, like
throw bakery.
Well, because in my head I'm just like I'm thinking about like if it sounds good when the announcer says it, like tune in at 8/7 Central, like for another fantastic episode of Throw Bake, like what I mean, like it's gotta have that ring to it.
Right. There is a show on a streaming platform where people recreate snacks, like they recreate Doritos, they recreate Kit Kats, they recreate, like that's the competition, and the person who does it the best wins, and the person who does it the worst loses. Usually they do not look, and from the judges, they do not taste anything like like the original, but that's also because there's so much that goes into like packaged snacks that you can't just do in a normal kitchen.
That's true. Die 40.
I'm thinking of also a relationship show, but it's a relationship like the hook is that they're all parents. You never get to see relationship shows with people who have kids. If we do, they're like they're in the relationship currently. I mean, like a dating show where like single parents meet each other, and they're just like, "Hey, I got a son, or I got a kid, I've got a daughter, whatever, or I've got 2 kids, and I'm just trying to find love." And so they meet up, not necessarily saying that.
And then they're usually dumped because
always
the person who they're trying to pursue is not trying to be a step
right.
parent.
Like, and I'm not to say that single parents need to only be with other single parents. Just all reality shows are experiments anyway. So it's just like let's see, like dating shows. So let's see like what happens when you have a bunch of single parents who are looking for somebody meet other single parents that are looking for somebody, and just like see what happens. I think it'd be cool. And of course, also easy bankable selling point, cute kids. They sell any TV show because they say the darndest things.
Watch it because of the kids. I hate kids. I don't hate kids. I just don't want them around me or to watch them on TV.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if you have like a really cute kids or whatever, and there's like, because you don't necessarily have to make it like something like Love is Blind style or anything like that, where everybody, or not Love is Blind. The shows where they all live together. You don't have to do something like that, but maybe it's just like kind of like how we did how Sexy Beast was, where we just like take a day in that person's life to see them like dating, like go on a speed date with these people and see if they make a connection and stuff.
I have a physical reaction when the show's brought up Sexy Beast. Like I feel it.
The idea that kind of first came into my mind, I'm trying to think, okay, what is there a gap in the market for? And of course, this would be a competition show. It's what I live for. So far, you guys have brought up competition shows, which is awesome. Perfection. Mine would be creating the next social media star. So these people, you would get 10, however many people from around the country, maybe around the world, have like either little to no presence on social media. And each week
they need coaches.
They would bring in coaches, social media celebrities. Each week they would fight to become the biggest social media star. They would create videos. People who would get the most likes or views or engagement would move on. The people who don't would stop. They would get coached on how to be on social media and stuff. So I think, especially now in the age of TikTok, I think it could work well. The show would probably only last a season. I feel like there could be something there.
I think that is a show. I remember there being a reality TV show surrounded by the idea of trying to make the next.
There was a documentary.
That I maybe think of the documentary.
Mm-hmm. But this would be more like competition based. That documentary was like, I know the documentary you're talking about. It took 3 people and made them famous. But in that documentary, they bought followers. They legit bought followers for the people. And then yeah.
I was thinking that though, like by the end of the episode or season or whatever, who has the most followers, like that's how you can vote on your favorite, by following them.
As I would say, like title, do it for the clicks, or Insta famous.
There we go.
Mm-hmm. I think it would have to, because Insta famous feels like it's too much close to Instagram.
Very Instagram centric,
and like I feel like the people going on the show would focus more on like YouTube and TikTok. Do it for the clicks. Sounds like a thing. Do it for the follows. No, clicks sounds a little better. I could see that actually being a real thing, because I've seen people there's all those people on TikTok who are like, hey, if you want to make your video go viral, use this sound, or this is the format you need to use for like those viral videos, using CapCut, the app, I think, and like stuff like that, where there's like people genuinely coaching you on how to make your videos go viral. So I could see that, doing that on like, it would definitely have to be a streaming show. I don't see it on network TV, because network TV is kind of threatened by TikTok and like internet famous people. They're
right.
Pretty much the reason nobody watches network TV anymore. So
listen, ask Quibi where they're at right now. They tried to compete and they found out real quick that
I still don't understand what Quibi was.
It was trying to be like the social media streaming service, really. That's what it was trying to be. That's why all the segments were like super short and you could only watch it portrait mode on your phone. Yeah, they were trying to be the social media streaming service. But the thing is, those two don't mix. That dog don't hunt. Okay, you cannot try and make TV shows that we're supposed to watch in a social media type format. We want to watch our TV shows on TV, like in a TV way.
And I agree with you, because like TikTokers do like their story time where you follow for multiple parts, or they like do these story guided like TikToks, but it's just them doing like the same character and over. It's not like a TV setting. They still have the same background. Once in a while they'll have like their kid or their pet right here because they were meowing or talking off camera. So like there is a way to do a plot through multiple TikToks and have like a series, but yeah, to have like professionals doing it, and because they had a lot of actors on Quibi, right?
They had
a weird amount,
like full on shows. Chance the Rapper had a show. They did.
Oh yeah,
I think he was
Punk'd.
doing Punk'd. Yeah. Another person was. They had a couple movies that were split up into like 10-minute segments.
I know one
like
of the shows got
shows.
nominated for an Emmy.
Yeah, it was like shows, and then there was like movies too. That like, but the movies were really weird because like, who wants to watch a movie 10 minutes at a time? Doesn't make any sense.
I mean, that's what we used to have to do on YouTube. Like, yeah,
Oh yeah,
it was like 10 minutes part with like the ad right here, and like the quick cutout where it's like the last scene, the ending part. Yeah, the last scene ending part was not part of the beginning, so you missed like the last 5 minutes of the film.
Yeah, right. Or one of the parts was taken down by YouTube for copyright, and so you get to right. You get to it, and you're like, I can't even watch this part.
Or it's only available in another country.
Oh,
I had an idea too. I was gonna say, I can't remember it. It'll come back to me.
I have another one. I want just a legit show that continues on like some of these other talent shows for actors. Like we have American Idol, The Voice for singers. There's So You Think You Could Dance, Dancing with the Stars for dancers.
There's the rap one.
Right, there's a rap one. When we gonna get one for actors? And there have been variations of this type of show. Like there's it was the Glee project. It was where they were searching for like a new character for Glee. And then there was also
Glee centric.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. But it's like
never come back.
Right, but it's like it's a form of that in that, you know, the main goal is to be an actor on the show Glee. And there was one for like a Broadway thing. It was like the search for the next.
There was also the Scream Queens, and I think that lasted maybe
Scream Queens.
They lasted for a season, and they were able to be on like one of the Saw movies.
They did a Saw movie, and then another was the Scream. I think the Scream TV show when that was coming out. Another one of the Scream Queen, like another season of Scream Queens. One of those actresses went to be on that show,
which is an interesting concept. But it's the fact that like they go on to this, they have to have a project lined up with the show, and I think that's probably what slows it down.
Yeah, and those shows usually last for just a season because once they've filled the void for that part or whatever, it's not like they're going to do a season 2 next season, because then it just becomes like a gimmick, I guess. So I would want to see one that's a little more general, like, oh, if you win this competition, then you get signed with this high profile agency and you get to work with this agent or something to help with your career or whatever. So I'd like to see that.
Is it what would you call it? Would you call it like The Action or something like that, or Know Your Role?
Maybe Know Your Role. Slow Your Roll. No.
Yeah, that's
Slow Your Roll.
Or maybe just the actor.
How would you do it? Would you do it? Oh, the actors sound actually kind of cool.
That sounds very distinguished.
Would you have like judges? Or would it be more like a people vote in type thing, like American Idol? Or
I would say judges. I feel like voting in isn't the best for like that type of show. Right.
But then again, like Hollywood nowadays sometimes is a popularity contest. It's like the most popular people they want to get in those movies because they sell. So that could work. Judging could also work. I could see it more as a judge show.
Judges should be Neil Patrick Harris, Sam Jackson, and like someone like mega distinguished like Meryl Streep or something. Like you cover your bases. You got like the theater folks, the like generic actor who's like in everything because they just love the work, so they don't turn down specific stuff. And then like distinguished actor who's like the hard ass who's like, I'm here for true cinema, for art. True theater.
Like you gotta downgrade a little bit from Meryl Streep. I don't see her doing reality TV.
No, I'm not saying Meryl Streep would do it, but somebody in her like caliber who is willing to do it. Who's maybe retired and they're like, I'm not doing nothing. Sure, I'll judge on this reality TV show.
William Shatner, he should be on there. very expressive in his performance, and I feel like he'd have some good. Him and
That's true.
Sam Jackson, I would actually like to see together.
You need some personalities on that judge board. You know, that's what made American Idol work. Because you got Simon the grumpy one, Randy the cool one, Paula the happy one. Like that made that dynamic work with that triple threat. And it's why they could never recreate it when they had other judges come on. Nicki Minaj, who cares? Steven Tyler, whatever. Like they're not the same as our triple threat when the show started. And then Ryan Seacrest as the host, of course. But you know,
right?
Would there be? And also, is there auditions? Like how they do
like
American Idol. The first episode is the auditions. Because I feel like American Idol, it kind of is understandable because everybody wants to audition and maybe not everybody can sing. Acting is so weirdly subjective because like there are some people who maybe they're terrible in that moment, but like unlike singing where it's like if you have no singing voice, you will never have one. Like your vocal cords are not built for that for some people. And others, it's like you just need some workshopping. Acting, right. Anybody, like almost anybody and everybody can be like, if you get the right training and maybe the right teacher, you could find your niche. Not that you would be like the next Oscar winner, but right. Maybe you could be perfect for commercials, you know?
Well, that's why the shows were split up to like Scream Queens. You know, it was just based on horror film. Because I love my horror films, but like, yeah, there's no way to act not a little campy. Right. You have to like be a little campy no matter what horror film.
Yeah.
So I can see what you mean, whereas like actors, it's subjective and like many of them, you know, have their kind of, they're more this way to this, more this way. And even when famous actors try to break out of their, you know, common genre roles and you're like, man, I can see why you played the action star for so long. Like, respectfully.
Yeah, that's your niche.
Maybe stick to action. Yeah, that is your niche. Like, stay in those films. Like, you can have your serious moments, but, like, you can kind of tell why you were there. So it would have to, maybe, like, every season could be, like, based off a theme. Like, these are the action actors. These are, like, which action would be cool, because then you could probably work with, like, stuntmen.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe that...
There was a reality show like that.
And maybe that could be one of the prizes, too. Like, there can be... Because maybe having it too general might be, like, okay, this person gets signed with an agency and they could dump them like a month later and we never hear from them again. So maybe the prize can be something concrete, like the action season. Like we're searching for a new role in this next upcoming Tom Cruise movie or whatever. And then it's the drama season. We're searching for someone to be part of this big movie, or the horror season. We're searching for someone for this new A24 movie or something like that.
Maybe it's something like that where, like, you know, like old-time style where they sign up, you know, when producers actually pay their writers and actors, where they sign up with the production company more than the talent agency. So it's like, hey, we're going to use you for 6 films, and these are the roles you'll have. Or, like, you know, you're not just going to be an extra, you're going to be an extra with lines, or you're going to be an extra who has at least this much screen. Something like that, where it's, like, solid and you know for a fact you're going to at least get, like, a movie or two. Compared to, like, you may sign with a talent agent, but, like, I understand that's still a struggle, even if you have a good one, to get into certain roles. So, right. I think, like, maybe signing with production companies, like in the, you know, 1920s and something like that. Speaking of which, I also watched another movie from, like, the 1920s or 30s, like, I think it was actually based in the 1920s or 30s. And it made me start thinking of offensive reality shows. You know, like those old shows where like you go back and you're like Wife Swap. That was a terrible show. That should not really have been a thing, but it was. Or like,
I keep actually forgetting this show was more
recent. It'll pop up on a TikTok, and I forget how terrible it actually was. It's horrible. Like you swap your wife for like a week, and like you just have the stranger, and like some of the relationships were like. This feels like borderline abusive, and it's concerning. But like,
how I feel about
also,
90 Day Fiance, where I'm like, yeah, sure. Sometimes it works out, but sometimes you clearly matched 2 people together you knew were not going to work out together. But it adds to the drama and the entertainment. So now you've ruined a person that had forced this person to have a terrible experience. Because I'm like, if they're supposed to be like, we had this therapist come in and match these people based off their personalities. It's like, so what I'm hearing is that you purposefully chose these two people knowing they might work out, but really, it'll really
it's like the
depend.
whole show, Passport Bros. Like, these guys are going over thinking they're going to get their traditional woman and then figure out, oh, I'm supposed to support everybody? Like, in America, we do 50-50. And they're like, this is what it means to be a traditional wife. I don't work. I take care of the house. You pay for everything. That's traditional.
I was going to say I would love to see, and this is not necessary. This has already kind of been a show, but they aren't doing it anymore. Is Rooster Teeth years back did Hardcore Monopoly. Basically, they made like their own Monopoly game, and it was this really cool Monopoly table, which you can buy their Monopoly board and stuff. They had their own little pieces and streets and everything. They made their own Monopoly game, but it was called Hardcore Monopoly because they were playing with real money. But of course, the thing about the money was nobody got the money. The money was donated. Whoever was the winner, however much money you had, was donated to a charity of that person's choice. And so I think that could be a cool reality show in real life, to have like some people, or maybe even some like we always complain about how like rich people don't give back, and I think about like stuff like Shark Tank, where that show is very popular, even though like starring a lot of rich people. It's like, have some rich people play some fucking Monopoly, but for keeps, and they have to donate that money to a charity of their choice.
It's like a retro review that we did recently.
Like, I think I think people would tune in to watch because they'd be like, yeah, this is the CEO of like, I don't know, like the CEO of Downey is playing against the like CFO of Tide or whatever or something.
What
like
is
that.
it when Zuckerberg and Elon Musk were supposed to fight? Immediately, people were like, "I'd watch that. I'd pay to see that." I don't know. I don't care who goes down. Whoever goes down, like I'm still cheering. So like, I'd pay to see it. So it's something like that where it's like certain celebrities like, I'll pay to see you fall. I'm fine with that.
We would love to see some billionaires argue over a Monopoly board. Like, hold up, bitch! I know you're not trying to take Baltic Avenue. You know that was mine. Like, it's just.
I would love to see a millionaire fight over anything Baltic.
Speaking of millionaires, I just thought of. I used to love Undercover Boss, and
good show, especially when people get fired. It'd be like, you brought this on yourself. You brought this on yourself.
I loved when people were, that was always fun to watch. Also when people, were just they would just be so compassionate. And even though the CEO didn't even know what they were doing, it would be like, oh, it's okay. And then the CEO would give them like $20,000 or something.
I love the idea of people just like making up sob stories for the one day their boss might be undercover boss. Just like, yeah, ever since I got that gout. You don't have gout, Steve. Shut up. I have gout. I'm telling everybody.
That could be a meme like me.
As a banquet server, I had a baby and I was pregnant. So at certain times, that can happen.
Wait, did you put on like a...
No. But you just tell people you're pregnant, and I was 18 at the time. And I looked 18. They were like, "You poor thing," and I got some nice tips. And then they were drunk, and it's a wedding, festive. So I mean, you could have somebody just come into work and be like, "Oh yeah, you're the new employee. I live a sad life. Can you take my shift next?" Like, you think somebody's living a sad life? So funny. Like, yeah, no, I got you. Go ahead and go to your gout appointment.
You just be telling people all this stuff, and then eventually they're just like, "Man, if you got all this stuff going on, why do you work here?" It's like, it's a whole thing. Don't even worry about it.
I feel like that could be a meme. Me telling the new hire that I just lost my house and kids, just in case he's the CEO undercover. I felt like I saw a meme that was that too.
You always think it's like it's the boss undercover. It's just like, you need to stop telling the new hires that your grandma died, okay? It's not funny anymore.
I could have multiple grandmas. Actually, there was one time, who was that name of the receptionist at Paxi? when you came in through the loading dock.
Oh,
I forget her name.
June, yeah.
Yeah.
June.
Best.
There's one time me and June were talking. This was when I was working 2 part-time jobs and going to school full-time for my bachelor's. And I was talking to her about it. She was like, oh, yeah, I used to hike up, to go to school and then immediately have to hike down another hill to go to work where I would work overnight. I'm like, oh, yeah, I get you. And I'm like, I just recently, let go of 1 day a week instead of working 7 days a week. I'm like, I'm going to take that 1 day to rest. And, while I'm still doing 5 classes so I can finish a little bit earlier than I intended, there was this coworker who I didn't even realize he was standing there. Just stopped and stared at us. He's like, I dropped a class because 3 classes was too much for me. He's like, I'm only taking 2 this semester. And then we're like, oh no, man, don't. Yeah, I was like, we were just casually talking about our struggles, and he's just like, I'm taking 2 classes now. I'm like, oh no. We all handle things differently.
Your struggles matter too.
No, it doesn't. He's too weak. Too. He needs to work harder.
I mean, I just came from my morning job to my night job, and I would have my backpack, filled with all my work. But 2 classes can be a lot.
I just it's just when I started work at the Mopop during the pandemic, and they were talking about how they closed off sound labs where you can play instruments and stuff, and you learn how to play instruments.
Oh, I used to love that.
It's open now, but they closed it for the pandemic just because of mostly exposure, because a bunch of people touching guitars and drums and everything. They didn't want to risk people constantly touching other people's stuff they just touched, but also because it was common that people would they play the guitar so hard their fingers bleed, their calluses would bust, and they would be bleeding on the guitar. And I'm like, yeah, because they're too weak for music. Their fingers aren't strong enough. Need to work harder.
Jeez. Well, my idea for the Undercover Boss thing, it would be a spin-off of Undercover Boss, and it would be called CEO for a Day, where it would be the inverse, where they would take someone who was at the lowest level of the company, make them CEO, see from their point of view what needs changing, what kind of rules need to be enforced, and stuff like that.
You see what needs changing. I thought you were going to go the angle of see how hard it is, because I do agree. It's easy for us on the bottom to be CEOs can just do this. It's that easy. But then it's it's another thing when you're actually in the damn seat and you're and you have 60 meetings to go to a day, and most of them are just trying to make one decision. Because there's it's 10 other people you need to get
some
permission
CEOs
from
do have it
you
easy
need to
though.
make that decision. No, some do.
No, yes,
some
depending on the
absolutely
company.
do. But I'm just saying, there's certain companies where it's the CEO is really just the person, Papa John's is in the commercials, but he don't make no decisions about the pizza. All right, there's a board of directors that is the people who do that.
Papa John's is gone now.
It's true. But I'm just saying, it's there's some companies that are like that, where it's there's the person who's on the front, and then there's the actual company, which is made up of 30 other people, and they are the ones who make the real decisions.
Which is after the board members that they were always who's the board, and it's no, you're the CEO. But I get what you're saying. It almost feels because I think certain small towns do this mayor for a day with their kids. And the kids can put in one law, a cute little law or something like that, where they just let it go.
Yeah, the police do that, where they have a cop for a day where a kid could arrest a person. Normally it's another cop who's just pretending to be a criminal. But they're yeah, he's oh, you got me. You sure got me. All right, take me to jail.
Oh, loosen up these handcuffs are getting a little tight, Timmy. I didn't say tighten them. I said loosen, Timmy. And that's how
it'd be so funny
is born.
If it's a black kid, you just you twist it on him. You make the kid just start beating up. He's what are you doing? Stop resisting! I turned off my body cam. It's just get all twisted and dark. It's oh my god.
I think that's the only time I'd watch a show with a kid. Give him a little baton. Let's see how hard he can swing that.
Yeah, they just start to whack at him I'm already cuffed. It's I'm just arrested. I'm doing I see the cops on TV do.
Speaking of kids, do you guys remember that show Kid Nation? It was on. It was
Were
on
they let
CBS.
16 kids like live together?
Yeah, it was like 50. They had like 40 or 50 kids, and they just lived unsupervised in this town community, like this Western style town. And they had to make laws. They appointed someone like the mayor for the week or something. And each week they would have like a new mayor, and sometimes kids missed their family and needed to go home and
I was about to
stuff.
say, this is sounding like the Stanford experiment, but just with like on a larger scale.
It was there.
There was a show. The show I remember is where they split they had 10 girls and 10 boys in like separate houses, and I think they would see how like the little girls would interact to the little boys interact. Usually the little girls quickly got organized and were like, all right, this is what we're doing. And the little boys were still just running around screaming because they had freedom.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, also I don't know what that is.
With Kid Nation, Kid Nation was a little controversial. Like the first season, a girl, she got like third-degree burns on her face from because they had to like cook their own stuff, and like baking grease splashed in her face or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. With that being said, I stood in line and auditioned when I was a kid for season 2. That was the start of my reality. That's been the only reality show that I've ever auditioned for. But I remember I auditioned for season 2, and they didn't end up having a season 2. They were like, season 1 was enough. So
yeah, Cartoon Network tried to get into the reality TV show game for a minute. They had 2. They had one that was like a camping show where all these kids were out in the wilderness by themselves, which that one was a little controversial because clearly the producers were trying to push certain narratives, and it's like their kids, like certain like having certain kids be like, oh man, like they're gonna be in a relationship, like will they, won't they? And it's like, they're 16. Maybe you shouldn't be encouraging a guy to just date a girl just because you tell him to. If they don't like each other.
In the middle of like the woods too.
Yeah, so that one didn't last long, but the one that I thought was cool and did last pretty long was Destroy, Build, Destroy, where it was these kids that were like most of them were like engineering majors, or wanted to be engineers, wanted to be builders, did robotics, whatever. They would be given an item like a minivan or something, destroy it, like it would blow up or something, and then from the pieces of that destroyed minivan, they have to build like a mechanism so that they could do something. Now it'd be a competition, like from this destroyed minivan, build a crane that can grab the most amount of like trash off the ground or something like that. And then whoever was the loser, their whatever team of kids they lost, their machine would get blown up again. And it would be a cool thing. All the kids would participate and be like, yeah, 3, 2, 1, kaboom! Like, so it touched on that part of your kid brain of like, yeah, explosions and stuff. But also, it was actually kind of cool to see a bunch of kids team up and build something out of like junk, essentially.
I think a cool kid-centric show or reality show would be, do you guys remember, it was, I want to say VH1. They did where people lived in the house and it was structured in the 70s, and they could only talk about things from the 70s, and if they mentioned something from like later years, they were kicked out of the house or set up for elimination. I think that would be great for like kids like nowadays, especially like iPad kids, to live how like we used to live with the dial-up, and like all you could use the computer for was like solitary and Oregon Trails and
Snake.
And seeing them play with the toys that almost killed us as kids, like Perfection with its tiny pieces that you could swallow, and lawn darts that were pure metal and could probably send you to the hospital. Like seeing kids play with those old toys that were like, those came with the proper warnings. Nothing was plastic or Nerf. And just having those kids live in like the life we used to live, where it's like, we had technology, but not enough technology. We're like advanced, but not enough. And then we still got to like be the kids who were like the last kids that were like outside before also parents turned a little like, I don't want to say like more protective, but kind of more protective. I blame those like parenting ads that were like, "Where it's 10 p.m. Where are your kids?"
Well, it's also like the world's become more dangerous back in the day. Back when we were kids, like the worst it ever got was like the, not to get too dark, but like Columbine, like stuff like that, where it's like that was it. Now you look at today's standards, like there's like tragedy every other day, if not every other minute.
Well, it could also be that it's also the social media where everything spreads so much quicker. Like I learn about things in other country, which, I mean, you had to make global news to like be aware, like Columbine and things like that. But I think it's just also like, what do you find they would have to deal with, like the corded phones and the phones that were shaped like stuff, like the hamburger. Yeah, I was wondering a hamburger.
I had a shoe phone.
That would be great.
I had a shoe phone. I still have it. It's like a sneaker. But on the side.
See, I think that would be so cool. They don't have like the novelty items that we used to have, and I think just them like interacting with like novelty, because sometimes even the novelty stuff was like a puzzle to use on its own for us. Like, yeah, we have phones like this, like those stupid plastic chairs. One, you would get so warm so quickly, and like there's no support. Have you ever sat in one of those awful inflatable furnitures?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no support, nothing like that, and like you're slowly sliding off because you're sweating, and it's rubber or plastic.
So and it's inflatable, so you're always afraid that you're gonna like pop it,
and you can't leave it outside. Don't leave it in the sun, because then it's just a goddamn like lava, just like a solidified like magma rock, just waiting for you to sit on it and burn yourself. Like
I guess this would be called the 90s house. I guess I want a 90s house.
There you go.
90s house.
The React channel kind of did something like that for a while, where they had kids react to like 90s technology. My favorite being the Game Boy, like the original. And the kids are like, well, where's the charging port? And it's like the curators would be like, there is no charging port. You had to have batteries. So if you went on a road trip, you better bring you a bag, because you gonna need them. You gonna need plenty of batteries. They're like, well, like, and also, then they showed them like the light that you had to connect on the top, so you could play at nighttime. So you could see, or in the dark, rather.
When you're in the car,
like, right? And they're like, wait, there's no backlight. No, you had to put this on so you could play it in the dark, because there's no backlight, so you can't see the screen.
Remember driving in the back, and you didn't have the light. And it's at night, and you're in the car, and just like trying to put it up to the window while all the passing street lights are going.
Yeah, you're hoping like the street lights, so you better hope you pass a gas station so you can see.
Yeah.
See, my ass would just put it this close to my eyes, which might explain why I can't see anything. There might be a good reason why I'm blind. I used to like reading in the dark and like looking at screens, which, you know.
Both of the things that parents were always like, don't do that.
At least I never sat close to the screen or the TV. I can say that much. I mean, clearly, I still screwed up my vision, but yeah, like things like that where it's like you couldn't just adjust the lighting, because also with like the Game Boy, you had like the up and down and then the A and B, and that was it. Like with the Switch, it's touchscreen. It's, you know, the toggles. It's this side. Like, it's all this other extra stuff where it's like you have more variety. And then you can download games. No, not only did you need to bring batteries, you needed to bring cartridges.
Yeah, you had to bring games. Mm-hmm. If you only had one game, that's it. Like, if you had Pokemon, you had stuff to do. But eventually you get old. That'd get old. You need Zelda. You needed Kirby. You needed Metroid. Like, other things to play.
I think it's finally time to bring, like, the 90s house. Where you had just enough technology. Where I was like, cool. But, you know, as I gotten older, and I even tried playing with old technology myself, I'm like, I need this to stop. This needs to, like, it's too slow.
Oh, listen. When my dad, somebody had donated to him or given to him a PlayStation 2. And I haven't played PlayStation 2 in a long time. And but I still have all my PlayStation 2 games, like, for the most part. I have pretty much all of them. And so I was like, oh, man, you know what? I'm going to boot it up. Let me see. And just looking at the graphics of, like, the polygons and, like, cubed people and stuff. And I'm like, there used to be a time this was the pinnacle. this was like considered legendary, like good graphics. And now you look at today where like stuff we make today with graphics where it looks like a movie. It looks damn near lifelike. I'm like, this is a damn shame. I can't see any.
Well, like I bought the remastered of the Spyro game. That's a Sonic Classic and Spyro. Those are my jam. I love Spyro. I will play that game mindlessly 4 hours. And in my head, the remastered version was what I remember. I was like, it doesn't look any different. There's no difference. I don't know what they remastered. He looks the same. It doesn't even look like he's more, digital or anything like that. Until I saw a side-by-side. And I was like, wow, he is like all points in the old games. They didn't know how to make him round. So it was like, he was so pointed, it looked like you could put him together like a puzzle piece, a 3D puzzle piece. So I was like, in my head, I was like, he looks like the remastered. Actually seeing it, I was like, wow, you can see the coding for these games. You can properly see the coding that was done to make these games.
Speaking of games, that's a reality show I would love to see. Is one that follows like a competitive gaming team. Like, or competitive gamers in general. Because that's, I think, a market that's like weirdly not talked about. Like it's sports. Like, you can go on ESPN and watch, or, of course go to Evo or the many different like competitions and stuff. But like, for example, like we were at like when me, Al, and Chandra were at PAX, like it's a really cool thing. There was a couple different stages where people are competing and they're shooting like fog up, like, now coming to the stage is this team. Like it's a big deal. And it's only getting bigger as time goes on, especially like Asian teams. There's a lot of Asian teams from different Asian countries who dominate a certain sport, certain games. Bless you. So I'd love to see like maybe like a reality show about like maybe a team that's starting up. Like they're not champions yet, but they're trying to get there on like a certain game, like Fortnite or like Halo or something, and how that affects their lives. Because maybe, because I know for a fact there's still a lot of parents who don't get it. They're like, all you do is stay at home and play video games all goddamn day. You don't do anything. And it's like, Dad, this is my job. Like, I'm making money, like whatever. And it's like, no, you're not. You're wasting your life away. So it's like, it'd be cool. Like, you could have some dynamics in there somewhere where it's like, it could be an interesting show. At the very least, it could be an interesting movie.
Docuseries.
Yeah, definitely.
Like they did
docuseries, like
a docuseries of the mascots where you follow like college mascots. That I didn't like. I don't like mascots because they're too close to furries, and then like a lot of those people in the suits were like creepy. So,
the cheer, the one on the Netflix documentary series Cheer, where they follow the one college team to that whatever thing in Florida, like the championships or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, heck, the
like
Dallas
that.
Cowgirls, like cheerleading squad, they had a show forever, like multiple seasons, all following just their organization. Which is interesting because that's a sport we don't think about. Because cheerleading is a sport in and of itself. There's competitions. Oh, yeah. There's trophies and things. Like
they can do insane things that nobody else can do.
Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of organization.
You have so much trust you have to have so much trust in somebody to throw you up in the air and like believe they will catch you as you come down. Because there's a moment where like, because they throw you up in the air so they can catch you properly, get their hands in position. So there's a good amount of time before you're even coming like close to where they're supposed to catch you. That's a lot of trust. That's a lot of skill right there that you're able to catch that person. That person knows you're going to catch them. And then continue on with this whole coordinated routine.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's dangerous too. There's a lot of injuries.
Oh yeah,
cheerleading.
Yeah, the amount of cheerleaders in my high school that would have like broken legs or whatever, or like broken arm because they fell or didn't land right. Like, it's a dangerous sport. It is not to be. It is not for the just like the every person. Like you got to know what you're doing, or you will hurt yourself, guaranteed.
I do not have those skills. I fall all the time. I walked face first into a door just yesterday.
Are you okay?
As far as I know, I'm surprised my nose wasn't bruised because I walked hard into that door. Like, there was no reason for me to go that hard into that door. But I did. And I made everybody look at me at work.
Thinking of sports, too, bowling. I would love to see a bowling reality show. See, like a person
like a competition show.
No, to see follow a group of bowlers who are trying to be professionals, but they're not there yet. They're trying to get into the circuit. Like they're at the bowling alley every week. They see their struggle to become professional bowlers, because that's a hard thing to do. Like to get that spin right off of your hand, and really be dominant. Where when you bowl, your average score is 200. Like that's a normal day.
I think either a docuseries or a reality show following around the sports or teams you don't really think about, like even ping pong and
badminton,
things like that.
Volleyball,
where it's like
a lot of people don't talk about volleyball.
Yeah,
that's true. They go hard into the sand.
Mm-hmm.
They go they fall hard on their faces sometimes.
Especially depending on volleyball it is, because there's the beach volleyball, and then there's the in the gym with pads.
Right.
Hard.
And volleyball players are usually tall. People don't think about that, but they're usually tall.
You gotta be.
Really?
So you can get over the net and spike it.
Water polo. It makes no sense to me. I would...
It's basically it's pretty much like volleyball but in the water, right? Water polo.
Do they swim with the ball, or do they have to just keep tossing it? That's where my confusion.
Or no, sorry. It's
right to watch a game.
It's like soccer but in the water, right? I think it's like so. Soccer,
but
I haven't thought about water polo.
Use their feet
forever.
At all. It's literally the whole thing about water.
No, I mean
swimming.
Like soccer. I mean, in the sense of you can go anywhere, but you have one team's goal on this side and one team's goal on this side, and the goal is to get to the other team's goal. Yeah,
but that's not necessarily
every sport. I know.
Yeah.
A lot of sports.
I thought about it.
Why would you pick the one with feet? Water polo, and then I would love rugby to get a little more, because I wanna play. I want to see Seattle's rugby team. I think they're based in Tacoma, though. I miss rugby. I watch rugby, and I even played a game back in high school, but I can't tell you how it's played. I still don't understand it. I'll watch games, and it makes sense at the moment, but the moment I leave, it doesn't make sense anymore, and I can't describe it. And I would love for a rugby team to be followed, and get a little exposure, and maybe explain exactly how this game is played. Or if somebody, of our listeners can explain rugby to me, because I swear, even when I look it up, I don't get it. I feel like I'm missing something. Just a lot of I love it though.
I was thinking about also, this show writes itself, Horse Girls. Whole show about girls that are into equestrian things. Especially horse riders or whatever. Horse Girls. That's the title of the show. Write itself. Print it. Put it on TLC. Or not TLC.
Right,
is that what the channel is called?
Yeah, TLC.
TLC. Put it on TLC.
The one with
or
my
HGN.
600-pound life?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's TLC.
Did you hear
My Strange Addiction.
One of the worst reality shows they have ever come up with. I don't know who came up with this idea or who thought it was a good idea. The Best Funerals.
They
literally go around. Yeah, you should watch
judging people's funerals.
They went and judged how glamorous people's funerals were. I was like, wow, that's got to be fun for the deceased family or friends. There's that one person who agreed to all this, but the rest of them did not agree to, while they're in their mourning period, to be okay, so the coffin's a 5 out of 10.
Right.
The color clashes with the rest of the arrangements. If they had chosen a darker wood for this coffin, it would have been fantastic. But let's see how Monty's funeral's going over in Los Angeles now. What the fuck?
Just standing over the casket. Double-breasted suit for the body. You hate to see it. Like just putting points on a clipboard.
This man chose a purple suit to be buried in, but like that's usually not traditional, so we'll give him a little extra point for that.
Yeah, like judging everything
scared
too.
Of color people.
The little like caravan to the funeral home, they're not clearing traffic fast enough. That's a shame.
I haven't watched the show, but after I found it, I was gonna say I'm dying to watch it, but I feel like that's a poor choice of words.
I would love to see some reality shows of maybe some not so tacked stuff. Just be interesting to see for sure. Because I think about like Hoarders, for example, where I'm like, this is not good. Why would you want to put these people out? Like, why put people on blast like this? You know what I'm saying? I know the idea is the show is supposed to help them, but I don't know. I feel like it's like, yeah, but it's a little exploitative in a little bit of a way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're kind of putting all their business out there.
I feel like that's definitely those types of shows were definitely a lot more popular back in the day. Nowadays, people don't necessarily have like a tolerance for some of the more edgy shows.
Yeah, because Basketball Wives, I don't even know if that's still on, or like Love and Hip Hop, where it's just all drama. Although, no, that's not true, because Zeus Network still exists, and that is also all drama. Out here holding black people back, taking us. It is! Zeus Network is single-handedly keeping the black populace down. The whole network, the whole thing.
But I feel like, well, those shows definitely still exist. Like the trashy ones definitely still exist, but we've strayed away from like maybe some of the morally unethical ones, which I don't know if it's for the better, because sometimes you know people, if they sign up for the show, then they sometimes it is exploitative.
But sometimes you gotta save people from themselves, because some people will do anything to be famous. You got people lighting themselves on fire to be famous. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there was that one influencer who literally blew up an abandoned mall just for the views. I think we should go back to like those cringeworthy MTV reality shows. Not the like you said, the morally questionable ones, but the fun ones where it was like The Show Next and The Room.
Where they're super rooms. Yeah, Room Raiders. Where it's super fake. Where it's clearly like, okay, clearly this is a set. Like nobody in the room, nobody has these many like questionable items randomly just left out. There's no way.
Exactly. So like, I feel like cringy shows like that would be great. Yeah, but you're right. The morally questionable ones that they did, like Flavor of Love, that was, I feel like, a morally questionable.
I don't think it was morally questionable. They just was ghetto.
Season 2.
All the people.
Season 2 got.
Remember, like this was maybe like 8 to 10 years ago, before Meghan and Harry. I Want to Marry Harry. You remember that? Where
Vaguely,
they brought in. It was like The Bachelor, but Harry. I was about to say Harry Styles. Prince Harry.
I immediately thought Harry Styles when you said it.
Yeah. Prince Harry was the Bachelor, and they made all these women think that they were having a shot with Prince Harry, but it was just a lookalike. Do you remember hearing about this at all?
I vaguely remember that. That's or like Joe Millionaire, where they're like, "You're gonna marry this fancy millionaire." He's like, "No, I'm a construction worker. I make like $20,000 a year.
I work at the Jiffy Lube."
They brought that show back like last year or the year before, and it was different because there were two guys. It was called Joe Millionaire, but there were two guys. One was a millionaire, one was not. And the women were like dating both of them, and they were like, okay, which one? I wonder which one is the millionaire, and blah, blah, blah. So it was a little less morally corrupt because at least one of them was a millionaire, but still.
See, but I don't feel bad about that. That one I'm feeling more because here's the thing. Yes, they did lie, but let's be honest. You were here to gold dig, all right? And now you've learned your lesson. Let's be real, okay? You weren't here to find love. You were here to find a paycheck.
Look,
there's a difference.
Economical unsustainability. I can't judge any longer those women. I get it. All right, if I have a chance to actually own property in my lifetime, I lower my standards a little bit. Just saying. But yeah, like shows like that, where it's like you're just manipulating a bunch of people. Or that show, Gaydar. I think it was called that, but I don't think it was called that. Where they stuck one gay person in a house with a bunch of straight people, and they were all trying to figure out who was the gay person. It's like a witch hunt going on in a house.
Yeah, that's
kind of You touched my shoulder. That's a little gay. That's like weird because like every movement somebody makes is like, was that a gay movement? What is a gay movement, Charles? What does that mean to you?
You know,
yeah, that seems like
listen. When you come out the shower with your towel wrapped around your waist, we all do that. Yeah, but yours was a little low. That tells me that I don't know. We're thinking about it. It's like it. I feel like stuff like that is just like it causes prejudice. In fact, if anything, it encourages.
Yeah.
Right. That sounds like like now. Do you guys watch like the Jubilee videos?
Yeah, I do.
And they do that. They do that. The odd one out where it's like, who is the white person? Who is the black person?
Yeah, I don't like those ones. I like
the gay
like
person. Who is this?
Middle ground as the only one I watch. The odd one out, I'm like, this is just teaching people how to be judgmental, if anything.
I agree. There were a couple ones where I'm like, this, but there were some that were like, I did laugh. So I can't like, but yeah, I don't watch them very often though because they do get stereotypic, very stereotypic, very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Middle Ground is the only one I watch because I love to hear people's conversations. Even though sometimes the people they be getting, I'm just like, I don't know. I think you brought this person here just to cause problems because they're kind of being very combative with their like statements. Vice does the same thing sometimes too, and just like I don't know.
Yeah,
like this is not a great panel you put together. I think you made a mistake picking some of these people. They're not being as open as they should be. But although that would be a nice reality show type thing too, is to have like people of differing opinions kind of like meet together and maybe like make like a not like a court case, but like a but something in that vein, like of like you're pleading on behalf of like why there should be more trans athletes or something like that, and like that's the case. Here's the defense. Here's the prosecution. Here's the defense. Make your cases, and like
I feel like that's how you get somebody to get a lot of death threats.
That's true. The show would be very controversial in the sense that we can talk about a lot of serious, like sensitive topics. That's for sure.
I mean, people nowadays send death threats over everything, anything. I think half the Reddit stories I see, am I the asshole? They're like, okay, I'm deleting the post because of the death threats. Just talking if you were the asshole because you like swore at your mom. What is with these death threats? Why?
People have nothing better to do except feel powerful behind a keyboard. Like,
I have nothing better to do, but like, I'll get needlepoint or
You'll
something.
find something
I don't know. Get a
more
hobby.
productive than
right than being like oh, what, you don't make your tea in a teapot, you microwave it in the microwave. I'm gonna rip your larynx out.
You put sugar on your grits,
right?
You put salt on your electric chair.
The fuck you mean you put the jelly on before the peanut butter? I'm about to I'll kill you.
Who's using water with cereal? I'm going after them. That's how I start with my death threats. The moment I find somebody using water and cereal together. Eat dry cereal. I get the struggle's real, but you ain't got to do that to anybody and yourself. Just eat the dry cereal.
And on that note,
it all
I feel
comes
like we've
full
come full
circle.
Yep, we've come full circle.
My hate does that.
Those are our reality show ideas. Streamers, networks, if you're listening, go ahead and
you want to put
email
soup
us
together. Venmo me.
Right. Email us, the first ones to die. We don't have to even do the chit chat. Just email us the contract with how much you're paying in the subject line, and we'll be good. So the first ones to die at gmail.com. We look forward to receiving your email. If you're not a streamer and you're just a general audience member, how can we get in touch with you, Jerome?
well, also, if you are the general audience, comment below. Tell us what you think about reality TV shows. If you have any ideas of a reality TV show you definitely want to see on the TLC or the HGN or the VH1 or the any other 3 character channels, but you can find me at Not Jerome Rett on Instagram, as well as following also the first ones to die on our YouTube channel to see extra content that you cannot get on any of the streaming audio streaming platforms that we are currently on. You can get stuff like gaming videos, vlogs, book reviews, mini reviews, video versions of all the podcasts, and more. So going over to the YouTube channel, please do subscribe, like, favorite, share, all those things. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, thank you. We appreciate you. And keep doing what you're doing. Keep on keeping on, like the old folks say. Alex, where can people find you?
You can find me at Alex and Nobody on TikTok and on Instagram, as well as the podcast TikTok, where I post little clips of our episodes, as well as something we may be talking about, things we have talked about, or things I'm doing when I'm bored, because I will not send a death threat, I swear, if you're eating cereal and water. So you'll just have to deal with me using a filter when I get bored instead. Although, seriously, who's doing that? Anyway, but you can find
no
me
death threats,
but
judgments.
I mean, I have been clear that I am very judgmental, so it comes naturally with my face already. It's like it's there on display. So if you're surprised that I pass judgments, I mean, just go onto YouTube if you're a listener, just look at my face for 10 minutes and you're like, yeah, I can see it. But you can find me on there, and just give us a comment and a like on any of those videos, and we can interact with each other. What about you, Jerome? Jonathan?
I'll go again. You can find me at Not Jerome Rett. No, I'm just kidding. Jonathan, go ahead.
You can find me at Jonathan Keys on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you please. You can also follow us at The First Ones to Die on all of these social platforms. Email us, like I mentioned earlier, thefirstonestodie@gmail.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please give us a like and subscribe. Go ahead and comment below. Which reality show idea did you like the best? And if you're listening to us on your audio podcast platform, then go ahead and give us 5 stars and a rating and review. We would appreciate that greatly and it would help us out a lot.
Tune in next week when we talk about artists who should be actors. And by artists, we don't mean just specifically people who paint and stuff. We're talking about music artists.
But those could be people too.
Could qualify. They could qualify. That there's no rule saying they can't. But of course, music artists, visual artists, I don't know, audio
DJs.
artists. Yeah, DJs, all types of people. Foley artists, who knows? We're going to talk about the whole thing. So tune in next week. You do not want to miss that conversation. I'm sure it is going to be thebomb.com. So anyway, until then, have a good night, have a good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whenever you're listening to this. And we will catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.